Wait until I meet Trump himself. Just wait until I meet him. And after I've met him, wait for his tweets. He will tell you. Diamonds are high value. And so trade imbalance. We are bringing in more than you are bringing to our country. It is because we are bringing to our country what you don't have. It is high value. And by the way, many of your businesses and enterprises are operating because of our diamonds. If you stifle us, you kill these businesses. That is why we mobilized them, all of them, United States enterprises. And we said, call the Hill, call Washington, D.C., and tell them that they shouldn't do this. And they were calling, putting pressure. Over the past few weeks, Botswana has taken bold and deliberate steps to secure the country's future as a leading voice in the diamond industry. We've traveled the breadth and dimensions of the world. We went to the United States, to Hungary, and to Angola. We did not go there as mere observers. We went there as active shapers of our country's next chapter. Our participation at the JCK Las Vegas Gem and Jewelry Show and Heads of States meeting at the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, WFDB, in New York, were all focused on a singular purpose. And this was to translate Botswana's ethical leadership in diamonds into economic impact for our people, our partners, and our place in the global economy. Today, I am happy to share the outcomes of these missions, what they mean for business, for jobs, for confidence in our country and our markets, and for the future of natural diamonds. With me in the lead is the Minister of Minerals and Energy, Me Boholo Kenewendo, who has also provided strategic leadership and insight. And these have been critical in advancing Botswana's narrative and commercial interests. As a proud Botswana and as a leader of this country, whose development has been shaped by diamonds, I want to make it plain. For Botswana, diamonds transcend mere natural resources. They are the cornerstone of a bold development strategy that drives progress and prosperity. The world in which we operate has become more complex and dynamic than before. The competition for consumer share is intense, where demands must be deliberately stimulated in the face of synthetic alternatives, new luxury segments, and tariff headwinds. All these factors test the resilience of our sector, but Botswana has shown once again that we are not here to react. We are here to lead and build confidence in the natural diamond industry. I am glad to report that we are seeing the confidence return to the natural diamond industry, with key stakeholders such as GIA Grading Lab announcing at GCK that it will no longer use the 4 C's for grading synthetics. This will only be reserved for natural diamonds. Our message is being heard, it is being received, and it is resonating with these critical global stakeholders. At JCK Las Vegas, we showcased our diamonds under the House of Botswana banner, themed, rooted in organic luxury. More than a brand, it is a statement of values, transparency, authenticity, and impact. The Botswana Diamond Mark was launched at the JCK, a symbol of origin, ethics, and premium quality that will help command higher value for our stones on global markets. Major retail partnerships are in the pipeline with entities such as Signet Jewelers, the world's largest jewelry retailer focused on U.S. bridal markets, as well as other major retailers keen to link high-value sourcing agreements with ODC. They are ready to conclude sourcing agreements with ODC as we speak. These deals will increase revenue, stimulate domestic beneficiation, and create skilled jobs. There are specific timelines in the pipeline which the team responsible is tasked to execute. We have tourism and trade integration in the offing. Retailers from the United States and India expressed interest in diamond tourism, combining visits to Botswana's mines with luxury travel in the Okavango Delta. This expands our economic reach beyond minerals, supporting local SMEs and the broader hospitality sector. In plainer speaking, we will begin, and the undertaking has been made, to see tourists who come to see where our diamonds are mined, confirm for themselves and be satisfied of our integrity and ethical sourcing, and they will combine this with visiting our tourist attraction areas like the Okavango. So we are combining here two poles. The one is the mining, and the other is our traditional tourism. So we'll have tourists coming to see the mines and see the wildlife and the beauty of nature. Digital traceability scaling. Through ODC's blockchain integration with Tracer, ODC 2 to 10 carat diamonds are now traceable. 2 carat to 10 carat diamonds are now traceable. We can authoritatively trace and establish their provenance, their progression all the way to the market. So we will have absolutely no break in the causal link from mine to market. And this helps enhance investor, consumer confidence, and it also supports premium pricing. We will be able to extract, therefore, the highest value for our diamonds from just this aspect of authoritative, credible traceability. This is not just marketing. This is a growth strategy. It is anchored in transparency, in consumer trust, and economic diversification. In relation to the WFDB President's meeting in New York from the 10th to the 11th of June 2025, we placed Botswana at the governance table. I was able to deliver at this forum a keynote address reaffirming Botswana's role as a global standard bearer for ethical sourcing. We were formally invited to join the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, which is a significant endorsement of our leadership. We also announced a major institutional development, which is the creation of a national commodities exchange, BMX, to strengthen price transparency, to expand local participation in the diamond trade and other commodities, and in the ultimate instance, to reinforce investor confidence. Botswana is no longer just exporting rough diamonds. We are building platforms for governance, arbitration, and value retention. We have embarked on a bigger picture marketing as a tool for our resilience. In today's fragmented market, category marketing is not optional. It is imperative. It is how we differentiate natural diamonds from synthetic imitations. It is how we defend against uncertainty, such as U.S. tariff tensions and the shifting customs definitions and preferences. And importantly, it is how we tell the truth about natural diamonds, that they are infinite, formed by nature, and deeply embedded in the progress of our communities. You will recall the seminal pronouncement that diamonds are diamonds, mark, reference, and represent authenticity. They are a marker of specialness, a marker of love. And I indicated forcefully and evocatively that love cannot be manufactured in a laboratory. Botswana's story is proof that our diamonds improve and sustain lives and livelihoods for our people, including our most vulnerable communities. They fund education, healthcare, gender equity, and environmental protection. These are not just side benefits. They are the essence of what makes our quality natural diamonds unique. We also called for action. We are now calling on the global industry, miners, manufacturers, retailers, and regulators to unite around 5 key imperatives. 1, to clarify global customs standards to properly distinguish between natural and synthetic diamonds, starting with updated, harmonized system codes. 2, invest in coordinated marketing campaigns that promote natural diamonds as a category, not just as brands. 3, strengthen traceability and transparency to meet the expectations of the Gen Z and millennial buyers. The assumption is that the Gen Z and millennials are influenced only by the amount at which they acquire or procure. The Gen Z are also influenced by the rarity, the unique and compelling story, the life story, the verve and the vitality behind the natural diamonds, to the degree that it supports lives, it supports livelihoods, it puts other Gen Zs and millennials through school. It assures them, they are fellow occupants of that terrain and space, quality healthcare, quality education, quality lives. The Gen Zs are concerned about this. They respond to all these concerns. And so the assumption that the only influence that bears on them is price is misconceived. It's ill-conceived, and we have set out to debunk this myth and bring the Gen Zs squarely into the mix in relation to natural diamonds. The fourth imperative is to support tourism partnerships that link diamonds to national development stories. Buyers of diamonds these days are concerned about where the diamond comes from, how this diamond was handled from the mine, and there's a story there of the person who handled, who cut, who polished this diamond. The emotion, the creativity that went into that process. And the market is yearning for this narrative, which for a very long time has been ignored. It has been cast to the sidelines. Now, we are placing this narrative front and center. And this is what the market seeks. And so, we want all these, a conspectus of all these factors, these imperatives, to guide and inform the actions that we undertake as a country, as a leading producer of diamonds and the world's largest producer of diamonds by value. Very, very important. Others have said the synthetics will take over. No, they will not. Because we are now taking active steps to ensure that they do not. But the advent of synthetics establishes one fundamental principle which we must not lose sight of, and it is this: a fake can only sell when there is demand for the genuine article. Don't use the fact of the movement of the fake to suggest that the genuine article has lost relevance. No. In fact, it is quite the contrary. The fake only sells because there's demand for the genuine article. And maybe those who are in charge of the genuine article are not delivering it appropriately to a market that is crying out for the genuine article. So there's no way in which fake diamonds can outsell, outpace genuine, authentic, natural diamonds. There's just no way. And the sooner we embrace this reality, the better it will be for us as a country. We then undertook a working visit to Budapest, Hungary, to deepen our relations with the Republic of Hungary and to attend the World Judo Championships 2025. This was at the invitation of the International Judo Federation. And I must pause here to give you a fact of which you may not have been aware, which will scare many of you and might serve as a warning to others. I have personally been associated with the sport of judo at international level for many years now. In 2016, at the championships, the Judo Olympics in Brazil, I was appointed chief advisor to the president of the International Judo Federation. You don't get to that level easily. It must say something not only about your capabilities in administration, but about your capabilities in the theater of combat as well. So make no mistake about this. I just wanted you to know. But as part of the visit, I was also conferred an honorary black belt in the sport of judo. Another salutary acknowledgement, but also warning. In Budapest, my delegation and I met with 13 investors from various sectors, and we presented to them the investment opportunities in many of our sectors, such as pharmaceuticals, for which the Hungarians are renowned, ICT, agro-processing, manufacturing, and tourism. Agro-processing, you know, the best yogurt in the world, in the whole world, quality, is from Hungary. The very best yogurt. And there's a brand that each time I go there I interact with. It's called Toro Rudi. They know in Hungary that they must always give me that. The point I'm making is that there's a lot our country can learn from the expertise in Hungary. And the Hungarians say to us that they have never colonized anybody. When they deal with other nations, they deal with these nations as equals. And so they approach us with the greatest humility and respect. And they are eager to impart some of their learnings and experiences to us, but also to learn from us as well. Hungary has provided us before with scholarships. We have several students who are in Hungary, 15 at the moment, studying there on scholarships offered by the Hungarian government. I met these young, brilliant people, extremely excited, looking forward to finishing their studies and coming back to serve their country. And we have now put plans from the visit to increase the number of scholarships that are available to Botswana to 50 from the current 15. And the fields that they are involved in are ICT, artificial intelligence, and emerging technologies. Emerging technologies, because we all know that technology evolves. If you hold on to what applied a week ago or weeks ago, you may wake up to find the world has left you behind. And so all these emerging technologies call for creativity and a dynamism amongst our young people, and this is what they are in Hungary to learn. And they are extremely happy. We want to make it even bigger. And this is the benefit. There will be more benefits because they are going for their elections next year in April. After their elections, they will be more than ready now to do more for the relationship with Botswana, for the partnership that we have established. And they accorded us the highest respect when we were there. So whatever I told you today, I've told you that our diamonds are not just gems. They are engines of inclusive growth, economic dignity, and intergenerational opportunity. Our recent agreement with De Beers has reinforced market confidence, reminding us what can be achieved through true partnership. But it is not enough for us to lead by example, but we must also lead by influence. So we must exert our influence both regionally and on the international stage. Our participation at the JCK Las Vegas German Jewelry Show and the Head of States meeting at the World Federation of Diamond Bourses in New York has reaffirmed our leadership position in the natural diamond industry. Our presence was felt strongly, forcefully, evocatively. Our brand is recognized, and our voice is not only heard, it is now being respected and heeded. And that's what we do when we step out in the name of the Republic of Botswana. We raise the profile, we raise the tempo. And that is why the President of the Republic of Botswana was given an award, a recognition, having stepped up, having articulated the interests of natural diamond producing countries and those who deal in natural diamonds. We have now been firmly recognized as the leader that the market has been craving all this time. We've stepped into that space. We've claimed it. We've made it our own. The world has responded. It recognizes, it embraces, it accepts. It is now being led by Botswana. The moment we are in calls for boldness, clarity, and unity. And Botswana is ready. We've asked the world to join us. The world is responding. And we are now reasserting the elevated status of natural diamonds. And we believe this we have begun to realize. Our presence and leadership in this space has been felt across the world. It was felt in the United States, felt in India, which is one of our largest markets, felt in China, and closer home, felt in the Republic of Angola. And we were in Luanda. I just returned last night, where I had a one-on-one engagement with the President of Angola, and we are aligned. There's something very beautiful and magical about Botswana now. Botswana is not just emerging as a leader on the African continent. It is increasingly been recognized by other leaders on the continent as such. And well, we must. Well, we must. Our credentials speak for themselves. We are a stable, credible democracy, the longest serving on the continent. We are the best investment environment, the safest for any investor. There's absolutely no threat of civil strife. When we disagree, and we do from time to time, we don't settle our differences by point of sword. We talk. We agree. Sometimes we agree to disagree. And we maintain the peace and good governance of the Republic. The world watches. The world is impressed by us. And the narrative that Botswana is struggling to attract investors is a false narrative. It is actually palpably false. Must be refuted here and now. We've received scores of investors who've come to inquire, who have come to indicate that they want to invest in our country. This is a country on the continent which is one of only two that has credit rated the highest. It's ourselves and Mauritius. So why wouldn't investors not want to come here? The problem is not the unattractiveness of the country on the metrics of assessment that I've indicated. But there are other things that we need to do as a country in order to cement our place as the best investment destination on the African continent. Some talk market and say it's a small population, and on that basis, therefore, cannot attract investors, especially those who are investors seeking markets. That also cannot be true. There's one advantage that Botswana has that others don't have, and that is its strategic geo-positioning. We are here. If you want to go to the east, you must pass through Botswana. You want to go west, Botswana is at the center. North, south. This centrality, this strategic positionality makes Botswana difficult to compete with. What prospects does it portend? We should have airports that service the whole of Africa, and we should have long-haul flights into Europe, into Turkey, into the Middle East, into North America. We should, from here, meaning that Botswana must and will become a logistics and transportation hub. This is one of our competitive advantages. The other thing which we must actively work on is the regulatory, policy, and legal environment to ensure that our laws, our policies, our practices are conducive to investments. We're able to not just attract them, but to harness and deploy them when they present themselves. We are going to have to change some of the laws, some of the practices, some of the attitudes. We are going to have to reimagine ourselves and our country and our role in the world. And so we were in Angola, interacted with the government of Angola, interacted with businesses under the rubric of the US-Africa Summit. Another very critical issue that we need to understand. If you want to understand the dynamics and indeed the politics of international trade and investment, the Americans say the volume of trade between us and them is not only low, but it presents an imbalance. They say our goods are entering their market, but there's nothing that they are offering us. None of their goods and or services are finding their way here. This is what the Americans say. And so they say, because of this, we must be subjected to tariffs because of this trade imbalance. And we have to deal with this. It's a reality that we have to engage on with the Americans. And we have engaged. I met the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in my first visit to the United States, and you may have seen, he was ecstatic about my meeting with him. Says it was the best meeting he had had. Wait until I meet Trump himself. Just wait until I meet him. And after I've met him, wait for his tweets. He will tell you. Because when we focus on presenting the interests of the Republic, we are careful, we are respectful, we are firm, we are focused, and we are driven by data and sound reasoning. And so we've said to the United States of America, and I had a very engaging meeting with them. One of them I was told, and they said that's why they brought him to that meeting, because he is Trump's brother-in-law, son-in-law, an in-law. Said he talks to the president 4 times a week. So when you have him here, whatever you say will find its way. And I said what I wanted to say. And one of the things I said to him, and through him to Mr. President Trump, was we want a situation between Botswana and the United States of 0 tariffs. That's what we have asked for. We've stated it plainly. And we'll continue to articulate and defend it to the United States. And we've said to them our relationship with them is based on shared values of commitment to democracy and fundamental rights. And there's no way in which some of these headwinds should be allowed to derail us. We make this proposition firmly to the United States. And we did this alive to the moratorium on tariffs that will end on the 8th of July, which, if nothing happens, will see the tariffs reinstated or taking effect. We're working around the clock. If the message comes right here and says, Trump says, let's meet, I will depart immediately, unapologetically, to go and defend the interests of this republic in whatever forum. When the sovereign interests of Botswana are discussed, it would be hugely anomalous if I'm not leading the charge. And that is why I must be there during these turbulent times and lead from the front. It is important. So we are asserting ourselves. We have claimed our space. Our voice is being heard. It is being taken seriously. Our leadership is being respected. And this moment we are in, these difficult times indicate that we need this leadership. No other. This leadership. And this leadership, I can assure you, will triumph. The Republic of Botswana will triumph. It is rising. And I know how people behave and think. They fail sometimes to realize that when you play music, not noise, music, proper, sometimes there's a gap. There's a silence between the notes. It cannot always be a climax and a crescendo. There's a point where there's an inflection. There are ebbs and flows. There's a silence between the notes. And that silence between the notes makes the music, sets the tone for the crescendo, for the climax. And when there is that silence, know that a lot is happening, even in the silence. And so when some say nothing is happening, oh, there's a lot happening. We just don't tell you sometimes, so that you don't get overly excited and you can blow it up. Sometimes we have to do it quietly. But I can tell you, the deadlines that we've set, that we're going to spectacularly change this country in 3 years, we're keeping to those. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And so we call upon all of you to play your part, to report the press, to report accurately. Don't speculate. Don't pass off your own suppositions and presuppositions as fact. We know what fact is. We know. Very simple things. Don't pass off anything as fact that is not fact. Don't sell your opinions as fact when they are not fact. When the people out there are not daft, they are smart. They can tell when there are fudges and evasions. And they can tell when the fudges and evasions come predominantly from the press itself. In fact, when you do that, you lose credibility. They get to a point where they don't take you seriously, especially in this day and age of social media, where what you write after 5 days is now history, because the people want to get the things in real time. So don't fudge. Don't peddle untruths. If you want to know, ask. We'll give you the information. And don't besmirch people's characters and names. I read a lot of things. The president is unhappy about. Where did you see my state of happiness? Do you stay with me? Did you check? You have some gadget that measures the level of happiness of the president? No. I'm always happy. In the face of challenge, I thrive in challenge. When the chips are down, I'm at my happiest, because that's an opportunity to demonstrate to myself why I took up this role, and to the people of this country to say to them, your country is in good hands. And the naysayers, I love you people. Those doomsayers who are always peddling negativity, I love them so. I love them because, oh, soon they will be terribly disappointed. They will. They've been disappointed so many times before. That's why I've said I've been down so many times. Down don't bother me no more. I've been down. So those who wrote me off and are continuing to do so and writing the country off, or are in for a spectacular disappointment, I can assure all of them, they will be thoroughly disappointed. And the people of this country will be thoroughly impressed, and their interests will be served. In the short term, we will struggle. We have to. We have to reorganize. We have to realign. Not haphazardly, not recklessly, not vindictively, not maliciously. No. In a careful, well-coordinated, sometimes not publicly declared manner. But I can tell you, oh, we are in full control. Make no mistake about it. Just wait. Wait and you shall see. So thank you very much.
My name is Santa Misiana. I'm from UB Radio. I'm also a UB student. I wanted to ask that you had mentioned that you were in talks to advocate for a tariff-free Botswana and US agreement. So what I wanted to ask is, with constant ambushes that the President of the United States is famous for, what potential obstacles exist in negotiating for a tariff-free trade, and how do you how do you prepare to combat that? As they say, there's 1,000 ways of killing a cat. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could prepare two microphones for the other side, please. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Duma FM. Tautuna, I always doubted the story of the judo. I suppose I should now believe that indeed you are a judoka or a former judoka. But I've got just a couple of questions here, Mr. President. We've had goodwill before as a country. We've been here before. You talk about goodwill towards our diamonds, but our diamonds are not doing very well this year. How long before we start seeing this goodwill that we talk of begin to benefit the country? And I'm also quite happy that you still talk boldly about the 3-year transformation or radical transformation plan. What will be the milestones? What is it that we should be on the lookout for to say the president is well on his way to the radical transformation that he's talking about? Let's not forget that before you've actually addressed the media and talked about 100 days. The 100 days passed without you at any point accounting for anything within those 100 days. Yet you are the one who actually you are the one who volunteered the information. So to avoid having to speculate, like you say, we often speculate. What should we be on the lookout for to say the president is well on his way to actually achieving the radical transformation of within these 3 years that he's talking about? Thank you.
Thank you, Luito.
Dumelang, Nakepako Lebanna from Bopa. My question to the president is, the need for diversification away from diamonds has been noticed for decades now. Scholars have spoken about it, politicians from different sides of the political divide. And interventions, or rather, there's been effort towards finding investment, certainly since the turn of the century, the first as Makhai years. Is there concerted effort now to sort of look for niche areas, say soda ash and its byproducts, agro-Zambezi and Panamatenga, agro-processing and agriculture, leather, sort of trying to actually target certain niche industries which within a year or two, or within a few years, can definitely tangibly bring new sources of revenue to the country and also create employment. Because casting the net wide open has been done a lot in the past 20 to 30 years. And sometimes it leads to a wild goose chase. Sometimes investors do come, but sometimes they don't. So is there now a concerted effort to sort of start looking for tangible niche areas where the country now, through maybe CESA infrastructure, can start investing? And thank you.
Thank you, PK. Komotso.
Dumelang, ke bidwa Khomotso Mapane, Botswana Television. I think my questions, I'm going to expound a bit on what Rasagale they had to say. We talk about the Botswana being a proper model of a triple P that we can replicate across all sorts of sectors. We are a shareholder at De Beers. What are we learning, and what have we learned when we talk about radical transformation in moving forward when we issue new mining licenses, such that when we talk about diamonds, it's not to the exclusion of Lucara. When you talk about, be it coal or whatever mineral it is, what have we learned through these agreements, through these expertise, such that we are able to take those into new mining licenses? Secondly, again, talking about having this precious stone that we talk about that has transformed millions of lives. When are we going to get to a point where we actually do have a museum where we can actually see the diamond itself and not the fake that we talk about? We know at some point there was the Millennium Dome in London and there was a diamond there, but they don't have diamonds. So I'm just curious to find out when, as we go on this transformation journey, when do we begin to see some of these things, and are we pushing for some of these things?
Thank you, Motso. Next.
Good afternoon.
Okay, please, just one question so that we allow the President to respond. You are the sixth.
All right, thank you. My name is Rosina Pumapi. And in the one question I have, it's the address when the Excellency was talking about having a judo center at Godugui, a training center at Godugui. Is this an indication that in Botswana now we're starting to seriously look at sports and sport tourism as an avenue to diversify the heavy reliance that we have on diamonds? And I'm hoping that in the second round I'll be able to ask my second question, as that's the one I had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pumapi. Mr. President.
Mine tourism. The agreements or prospects that we have involve teams of those involved in the jewelry industry on our diamonds, coming in groups. Some have actually come before. And the reason we realized that there's an opportunity here is that these people that have come in the past, few as they are, were so impressed with the state of the mine itself, the processes, the expertise, and the locals that are involved, that they only have very good things to say to their friends. And we felt then that if we opened up this avenue and facilitated scores of them coming to see the mining, experience it, and then pair it with other aspects of our tourism, that would be a great opportunity. Whether our people will share, will touch and access diamonds, I think the idea that the last question raises of a museum, diamond museum, there's a whole beautiful story to be told, shared, and experienced about our diamonds, what they mean, where they found the country, where they have brought the country to. And we need to chronicle and have this available. We have not done so. It's an opportunity for us to. And so at that museum, our people and many others will then be able to experience the story of diamonds and even get to have some touch and feel of the diamond. And so this will also enable us to teach ourselves, teach each other about our diamonds. When I was in the US, I met a young Botswana whose story is also very inspiring. His journey into the diamond space. He's been through all sorts of trials and tribulations. And his story is a story of tenacity, of resilience, of failure. He failed, he rose, and I think he lived out the adage by That Irish playwright Samuel Beckett says, try, fail. Try again, fail again. Fail better. So each time he was failing better. He's now at a point where he has hit some success. And he has some brilliant, young Botswana. And his story also records frustration at the ineptitude of many of our institutions and individuals who could not see the opportunities, the prospects that were presented by his ideas, and who therefore did not support. But he succeeded in spite of all these hurdles. So we have young people emerging in this space. And he went all the way to Kwe, to all these other far-flung places, and brought ordinary people to Gaborone at great personal cost, trained them in cutting and polishing and handling diamonds. Failed, sent them back. When things improved, he went and fetched them and brought some more from the disadvantaged communities. Those are the people that he has empowered. Those are the people that he works with. And those are the people whose life stories add value, immense value to the natural stone. And so when you market on the back of these lived realities of these people, flesh and blood individuals, you tug at the heartstrings of the consumer. And that's what marketing is. And this is an opportunity we've not taken advantage of. Now we must. Local processing, look. I was talking to the President of Gabon day before yesterday, who also looks to Botswana for support and leadership, because he believes there's a new breed of leaders that is emerging in Africa. And he says he has given all the companies in his country up to 2027, that by then all processing of minerals will be done in country. We say, we invite the investors and we say to them, it would be very good for you. It would be a very solid, sound, and profitable business model if you bring your facilities into the country and train our people, create jobs, and pay them. And this is becoming potent. We will move in a sure-footed way, not recklessly and haphazardly, but we will get to a point where the country will derive maximum benefit from its mineral resources. We will do this. Sometimes, you are careful when you deal with some of these things. In Setswana, there's this saying, "Oratela pirika matlo." You don't wear your red clothes and start dancing. Sometimes you keep quiet. It is the space between the bars of a cage that contains the tiger. Sometimes leave this space of the unsaid, so that when you say, it happens. We will get there. And the ultimate goal is that Botswana must derive the highest value from its mineral wealth. Lucara, does government intend to take a stake? Lucara is a business. Often when you go into business, you look at the business model, the prospects, because you are going into business in order to get returns on whatever investments you put in. And government is now taking an approach of assessing every investment opportunity. And if government takes the view that this is a lucrative space for government to invest in some shape or form, government will create the vehicle to invest, but it must make commercial sense to government. And in business, you don't assume. You work on facts, you work on data. So if the data says come in, government will find a way of coming in. And at a different level, let me put it this way. One of the critical problems we've created for ourselves as a country is this. What is the country's business plan? When you go out and market Botswana, what are you marketing? What exactly are you looking to achieve? You are reliant on diamonds. Your next revenue earner is tourism, and then you tax people. Those are your only revenue sources. If you were thinking like a business person, you would say, what other sources of revenue can I identify and cultivate so that I'm not overly reliant on these? That's the first thing you need to do. Have we done that over the years? No, we haven't. So when people say investors were attracted, they were invited, what were you inviting them to come and do? Your own plan, your own structure. So you are operating without any concert, in an amorphous way. Because you are a believer in what? Market fundamentalism, that they come here and the market will regulate, some neoliberal claptrap like that. No. You've got to have your own structure, your own plan. Your business plan as a country. Where do you make your money from? Aside from diamonds, aside from tax, aside from tourism, in the crude and overly simplistic manner in which it works. Where? So we need to identify new sources of revenue for the country. Those that are there already, we need to find out whether they are being optimally utilized. Tourism. People come, we want to send them to the Okavango. There's the Tuli block. There are other places. There's cultural tourism. And the CKGR, all over the country. Have we developed these as potential revenue earners and basis for the empowerment of our people? Have we done this? No, we haven't. We must all admit. So we have an opportunity yet to do these things. So we need to have a business plan for the country. The country must have. In Estonia, they have what they call e-citizenship. You don't need to be there, but you are an e-citizen. You are a virtual citizen. You pay. There's money. Trump is now saying you must pay $5 million, is it? To have a golden card. He is a businessman. He's exploring revenue streams that may never have been thought of before, that are new, that may be radical, some of them somewhat unusual. So the country must think this way. The country has bills to pay. It has people to take care of. How is it going to take care of these people if it is not seeking new income streams? This is the problem. That's one. The second is, we are content to consume in the here and now. We never think about, as a country, you tell people, save save for rainy days. As a country, what have you done? How much have we invested in the future of the generations that are still coming? These diamonds belong to the current generation. They also belong to generations yet unborn. What are we putting aside for them? So when we raise the concept of a sovereign wealth fund, we are raising it seriously, forcefully, because we need to secure the future of those that are coming. Let's not think only of ourselves. We are borrowing now against whose future? When these debts fall due, we may not be there. They will have to pay. And if we haven't prepared the ground for them and left them some inheritance in a sovereign wealth fund that is functioning, then we would have failed as a generation that was given the reins of leadership. So we need to do that. So we need to bring targeted investments. Where? Agriculture. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. How has our agriculture performed over the years with all these subsidies and all the assistance? It has performed poorly. And people say, no, let's continue Majai Tsuleta or Majai Tsuputsa. No. There's no Majai Tsuputsa. Let's reflect on how we've funded the agriculture in this country. Has it worked? Let's reflect on this. The better for us then to fashion appropriate interventions that can be self-sustaining. And you're asking me about some of the deliverables, exactly that, in part. One, I've said BMC must be up and running by the end of this year. That's concrete. I've said Botswana Agricultural Marketing Board must be up and running profitably by the end of this year, 2025. I've said Air Botswana must be profitable by the end of 2025. I've said Botswana Railways must be profitable by the end of 2025. We go to 100 days. What did I say I was going to do in the 100 days? I said I was going to stabilize. And sometimes it's not for me to say. I leave it for others to judge. I tell you what I'm going to do and I do it. I inherit a dysfunctional judicial system. What do? Step in boldly. Take decisive measures to claw back the integrity of the judiciary. That's stabilizing. That's sending a clear message of boldness to the world. To say, this judiciary, which was once respected with the likes of Austin Amisa, Akintola Aguda, the Justice Pakrins, the Maysels, and many others, it must get back to that level of respect, if not higher. It must move away from a famished jurisprudence. It must be robust. That's what we are doing. That's what we started off doing. And of course, others thought, you will fire everybody. No. First, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't have made any. I always think to myself, these people who say people must be fired, what is going on in their minds? You fire? How? This is a rule of law. So fire everybody, collapse the system in an instant, and then say, no, I failed because there was nobody to work. When you remove a public officer, in fact, any officer, let me tell you now, to bring in another one from outside and get them to a certain level of proficiency will take a minimum of 2 years. In commercial settings, in companies, they say the turnover of staff comes at a huge cost to the company, that to bring in a new employee to fill the role of one who has left or has been fired accounts for about 20% of the turnover of the company per individual. in fact 20% of the salary. So it's a loss to the company. You are better off if you retain. You are better off if you upskill. Don't come with your preconceptions and pass judgment. Doesn't work like that. I had an opportunity when I came in. I've said to you before. I could have become a wounded hurter. I was wounded myself. I was carrying psychic scars, brother, and ontological bruises. I was carrying those from BRS, from all over, even from yourselves, the media. I was carrying scars. I still have those bruises from you. Vilification, all sorts of untruths and lies. I could have become a wounded hurt. I could have come after all of you because the power is there. Would it make sense? Is it justifiable? What did I choose to become? A wounded healer. That's what I am. I'm a wounded healer. So let's make no mistake about this. The idle talk about people being fired for no cause, for no... If a person deserves to be fired, they've done something wrong, we can establish on evidence, on fact, not supposition, then we will take appropriate measures. But we will not just go recklessly and do what you people think. But then let us instance a situation where I've fired everybody. Who do I have? You know what it says? What people say out there? Now where are the UDC people? Oh, okay. Is that what it is? Cadre deployment, which we saw destroy other governments. We're no longer operating on merit and competence. We're just looking at filiation and affiliation politically. No. Doesn't work like that, good people. We've got to be sober. We've got to be rational. We've got to be factual. We've got to work on data. This is what it is. So let us not transpose our biases and our hatreds on me and expect me to now beam them into the society. Can't work like that. Somebody has to be sober enough and to rise above the fray and be a unifier. So it is merit that matters, and it should matter. Doesn't matter your politics. I don't have to like you. We don't have to like each other. You just have to do your job. And when you do, I can tell you. I've given you an example of a guy, staunch PDP guy, that I thought, hey, this one deserves to be fired. Got in. The contract comes to me for consideration. By that time, the information I'm receiving is that this guy is the best performer. Even the UDC diehards are the ones who were petitioning me and saying, hey, press, we thought this guy, but don't touch him. What did I do? I signed his contract renewal. If I was, what do you think, how you people want me to operate, I would have fired him just for that and ignored his merit. It's about meritocracy. Angola and the refinery. Angola offered us 30% in the Lobito refinery. I'm saying to you, the government of Angola has offered Botswana a 30% stake in the Lobito refinery. I was reminding the president of Angola day before yesterday when I met him that we are still keen. And he said, we've offered to you, we've offered to Namibia and Zambia. And why? Because we have good relations. He came here, President Masisi went, and he says, you must come. You think it's a joke. I'm going there to do what? To floss and enjoy myself. You don't know that when I go to these places, you think, hey, this man is going shopping, I don't even know any shop. I haven't been out. I get in, I go into meetings, I work until the dead of the night. I get back, the only place I see is the room where I'm sleeping, and as I walk to where I'm supposed to deal with the issues. Since I became president, I've not been in a shop, you know that. You think this is a Christmas. I've told you these things. So don't think it's nice for me. No. There are no niceties here. It's work. There's no holiday. There's no weekend. There's no night. There's no day. You work. Every day until 12 midnight. You work. So there's no... The president of Estonia was telling me in his country the president has no leave, no vacation. By law. I said to him, in my country it's not by law, but it's pretty much the same thing. So it's work. We need to understand this. So the Lobito is in the offing. In fact, Namibia also says we have an opportunity to, they also want another refinery. We need to diversify our sources so that we are fuel safe. So we will do everything that we need to do. The zero tariff situation, what are the obstacles and whether I cannot be ambushed? I've been in many ambushes. I live for ambush. You know, when you anticipate to be ambushed, it is no longer an ambush. Wherever I go, I expect an ambush. And I'm ever ready. Ever ready. On any issue, at any time. I have my wits about me always. I can work my way through as intelligently as possible. Sometimes you throw the punches while you are busy trying to organize your thoughts. But you are busy firing salvos and keeping the enemy at bay. That's what you must do. You must have that intellectual dexterity. So whether anybody tries to ambush, you handle it, deal with it. But on the tariff, the obstacles, the United States president is a deal maker. When you go to him, you must go with a deal. You are negotiating a deal. What is it that he wants? He wants critical minerals, rare earth minerals. You want to say to him, look, let us discuss this in a manner that secures your interests, but also secures our interests. You pay the premium price, we can have an exclusive arrangement with you for this, but you pay a lot, in fact more, because now we are securing you, and you need this for your industry. That's deal making. And we also explain ourselves. The United States is not a producer of diamonds. Diamonds are high value. And so when you look at a trade imbalance, we are bringing in more than you are bringing to our country. It is because we are bringing to our country what you don't have. It is high value. And by the way, many of your businesses and enterprises are operating because of our diamonds. If you stifle us, you kill these businesses. That is why we mobilized them, all of them, United States enterprises. And we said, call the Hill, call Washington, D.C., and tell them that they shouldn't do this. And they were calling, putting pressure. That's how you negotiate. So when we get to the negotiating table, we understand what is at stake. And one of the things that people think happens is, now you have a trip to the United States, you're going to meet Trump. No. Before then, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on. You lobby. You mobilize people you know, and people who know the president. You create an environment. Somebody asked me, do you play golf? I said, no, I don't play golf. I'm not even sure I like it. I play soccer. And he said, you know, if you were a golfer, I could arrange for you to go and play golf with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. I said, you see, it will come from Mahalapi. That boy doesn't have any golf knowledge. The key is golf. If he was a soccer guy, I would say, let's go and kick some balls, bro. But it can't happen. But I don't think it's a very difficult thing to swing that thing. If one can score penalties, you can score. You can hit a few of those. In fact, I don't even think you need to hit this thing accurately, because they spend the whole day looking for the balls more time looking for the balls in the bushes than putting. So it's fun. I can try it. But there's a lot of preparatory work that goes on. And sometimes when the ministers go, and you don't understand why they are going, it is because they have to be engaged in this preparatory work. Let me tell you, we've lost in the past many things. One of them is the issue of the spectrum for mobile telephony. If you don't attend a meeting of these international organizations where they distribute bandwidth, they don't give you. Others will have and you will not. So when you miss, because the people who don't understand what is at stake are saying don't go, they don't realize when there's no communication and Starlink says the bandwidth is all taken up. Why? Because we missed a meeting where we would have been given more and others took. We must go. Many times it is because of these reasons that even when times are tough, we have to show up there and defend our interests and get a little bit more. You see, this is important. Some of these agencies where elections take place, you go there, you discuss, and somebody is elected, you say to them, come here, you know, I was rooting for you. I want to see at least 10 Botswana employed in this thing. Can you make it happen? This is lobbying. It's not corruption. It's networking. It's lobbying. And you exact benefits for your people, for your country. So sometimes it is critical for these things to happen. There are obstacles, there are obstacles always, but we must, as I say, have the dexterity to deal with them. How long before diamonds yield? It's a very fluid situation. We are seeing improvement. And as I say, there's an uptick in the market. The United States is responding, India, China. So we hope these things take time to be realized, but we are seeing positive developments. And as I said about the 100 days, you get in, you don't have the luxury, you take decisions, some of them. And to not fire people was a decision in and of itself, bold and courageous. It would have been a quick and convenient thing to fire and say, I've done it. Wait, study the terrain, scour it well, understand where the problems are. Sometimes it's because people who are put in certain positions may not be good in those positions, but they may be good elsewhere. You don't fire, you assign on skill, on talent, on commitment. That's what we want from our people. And this government is not for a certain political formation and not others. No, it's for everybody. So you get agitated that people have not been fired on their political colors or whatever other speculations. It shouldn't work like that. We should be careful not to do this. And then the milestones, I've indicated some of them. But the one key one that I want to achieve as quickly as possible is digitalization. Within the 3 years, digitalization so that you can get your driver's license without having to go and queue. You can get your OMA without having to go and queue. You can get your passport without going to queue. We can have VAT deducted from the point of sale and remitted to the BURS account sitting wherever in real time, so that there's no point of time where there's a cash flow problem. There may be a cash flow problem now because people are buying and the VAT goes into some retailer's account. It sits there until they then remit. In that interregnum, the country doesn't have money. There's a cash flow problem. But the money is there, it's sitting elsewhere. And we can't even track it properly. So digitalization will make sure that we have this seamless platform of operation. It will also make sure, because everything is now digitalized, there's no overbearing human involvement. You look at a person and you take a decision, I don't like them, and you disadvantage them. There will be no such. And people will now be able to track issues personally, themselves, directly. They will know, this project is at this stage, this is what is happening, I can check on this portal, and there it is. And if there's a delay, it should indicate. So every citizen will now be fully clued in on what is happening. That's openness, that's transparency, that's accountability. Not entrepreneurship, something else, spectacularly different. So the digitalization is going to be very important. And the creation of a national payment switch. A transaction doesn't have to go to Chase Manhattan in New York, 3 days, money is spent there, and then it comes here, transaction costs are high. We want to do away with all these things. Some of these things don't come accompanied by a thunderclap at the beginning. The thunderclap will come when you start experiencing it. And as I've said to people in the rural areas, you'll look for me to come and thank me. By that time I may have signed off and said, I've done my part. You see, this is what happens. So these are the deliverables that we want. Once we digitize, digitalization means e-learning can take place. It means when you go to the doctor, if you have to go at all, because digitalization means you can actually virtually communicate with the doctor and not even have to leave your house to go to the doctor, to the health facility. The doctor will talk to you and you will tell the doctor what the problem is, and the doctor will prescribe, will send you a note, and you'll take it and get your medication. And there will be no shortage of medication. Why is there a shortage? It is because we deal through the middle person or a whole chain of middlemen. You want to buy penicillin, talk to this one talks to that one, this one, the manufacturer is sitting somewhere there. By the time you get to the manufacturer, the price here has ballooned. Now, is there a way in which we can call the manufacturer and sit him down and say, manufacturer, you manufacture drugs, don't you? You sell them, and we buy. Why do we have to underwrite you? Why do we have to subsidize you? You need to have your drugs here, so that when we want them, you can deliver to us. You, at your cost, not us. Because you want to sell your drugs. You make money from selling. We are here, we are ready to buy. But what we are not prepared to do is for you to have us keep these drugs and they expire in our hands. No, you keep them. You keep them. We will tell you when we want them. In fact, we'll give you an idea. This is what we normally buy per year. Chronic, this, regular, everything. These are our patterns, our spending patterns. Now, you bring these, you keep them somewhere. When we want them, you bring them. And when you've delivered to us and we acknowledge receipt, you invoice us and we'll pay you in 60 days. How difficult is this? Is it impossible to achieve? It's about negotiating with the manufacturer, not some middle person. So tenderpreneurship must die, so that real entrepreneurship must emerge and be supported. So Botswana, you must go back to your farms and grow crops. Why? Because when we step up the national schools feeding program as we envision it, it will be on homegrown produce. You will have a captive market. You will not need to go to a retailer. You will have to go to an aggregator which takes your produce, pays you on the spot or within a reasonable time, and you go back to your farm. And this aggregator will then do the distribution to the various schools, clinics, and other places. So Botswana must produce. Don't go somewhere and buy stuff and inflate the price and take it to government and milk the fiscus dry. No. If you're a producer, we will buy from you. And if we have to capacitate you enough to become a producer on a model that works, we will do it sustainably. We will do it. And we're going to do it. Those are things that you will see pretty soon. So agriculture is going to explode. It has to. Brazil, right now, which was importing everything, is now an exporter of almost everything. Can we not learn? What is wrong with us? Are we not smart? I refuse to believe those tales. So this is what these milestones will entail: real, tangible results. Digitalization, critical. With digitalization is a revolution in education, a revolution in health, a revolution in service delivery, a revolution in accountability and transparency. You will not have to ask me. You will not have to second guess. You will know in real time what is happening to your country and about your country. That is the biggest, I've called it the pivot point of the economy. That's the fulcrum. You can't go anywhere without that. Now we have to plug into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. How do we do that? We need to aggregate our produce. There's a big market somewhere. They want this, we have a little bit of it. Others in other parts of Africa have another bit of it. We just assure quality, we aggregate, we send. And these platforms must work. So we have the digital trade protocol that we concluded in Lusaka, Zambia recently. Meaning, our people should now be able to trade amongst themselves on the African continent. This gives you access to a market of 1.5 billion people. And you say Botswana has no market, has no access to a market, because you've closed yourself in. Need to open up your horizons so that you access all these. And other countries also want to do this. So we need to be agile, we need to move and move fast. Diversification involves all these things. We can diversify within the mining space, and we will. We'll diversify into other areas, but we will also diversify into the technology space. We have to do that. That's why our education system must speak to some of these issues. There are others who think that the evolving, the unfolding world means now at institutions of learning, kill the humanities. No, you can't. You can't. The humanities are important. They must be there. Otherwise you have a society that is a society of automatons. Don't atomize society. Let society breathe. Let it be vibrant. So you need the humanities. So let's not take an approach that unduly instrumentalizes education and corporatizes it too much. No, education must serve liberation of the mind more than anything else. Now, the backbone of diversification is infrastructure, digital infrastructure, physical, climate, resilient infrastructure. And what does it entail? We're going to have to invite people who have the money and say, here's a project, give us your proposal. Then we get 5 of the best in the world. They give us their proposals and we say, no, we pick this one. Do this project at your own cost, mobilize your own money, do this project. And somewhere along the way, after you've recovered your investment, we take it. What will we have? We'll have the facility, the infrastructure. So when it comes to roads, we'll have to toll some of them so that they generate their own. We pay toll fees across the border. You people don't complain. Right across the border, 70 rands, 13 rands, all over the place, and you are happy to do it. You come this side and you can move all the way from here to Francistown and you say, there are potholes. Yes, there are potholes. No ring mukauling. Adi bakang roterna likeletso. Tisa ditsumpelo wa gam gadiyo. So re tlo go dintsha rotlhe ditsumpelo tse. Ka pu nyenyane jo re ka bogona mme re bo re tlhomamisa gore ditlamelo tse di nna teng ebile ke tsa boleng jo bo go godimo. Re moswane ene na ntheilare. Moswane re moswane are. Koma tse a mangwe ba tsa tanka hela 200 liters ba e baka ha ga tsela bo ba tsa engwe ba e baka bo ba ba le pako ha gare bo mapodisi ba nna ha ba duedisa batho rona re palwa ke eng re le hatse le tshone re sa dirialo ke bo ke mora ke re nya mo eta boele go utswela batho mare ba ka nya tsone di tsela pele ha re sena go di bakanya di le tsa boleng jo bo go godimo Motswana ha le ba tsela le ene o ta bona gore tsela e ka ha in thusang ka tebile ke tsama go sena dikgomo go sena dikotsi ye ke tshwantse 50 pula yo kana 20 pula yo kana 10 pula nya ke montshe ebile ke room a bona boleng. People are willing to sacrifice for quality, so let's give them quality. Ke sone se re se losang sone. So le on foreign direct investment ke buile gore go na le tlhokang di foreign direct investment tse ke di tsena di tharo go na le mo go teng market seeking go na le raw material seeking go na le efficiency seeking. Digitalization will make us very efficient, very. So others who seek efficiencies, they should be able to run here. The market is expansive, 1.5 billion. Within a radius of 1,000 kilometers of where we are sitting, we have access to about 500 million people. DRC, that's a market. So don't look at Botswana as servicing only Botswana. But Limibarona must know that the market now is outside. Some market on the border ya Zambia le DRC, where people trade $2 billion in cash every day. $2 billion cash. Botswana ba ka heba ba gone go. Di components tsa Botswana tse ke di itseng gore di paid engwe isa pallage engwe metsi bottled water, big market. Ba bangwe ba kae ba lebile gore ke government ke go fola ka enveloponyana. No, be more broad in your thinking and be more ambitious in your imagination. DBS lessons from our experiences in mining are many. One, we've not exported our skills and expertise. When it comes to extraction, expertise in mining, the actual extraction of minerals from the ground, we have the best in terms of experts and skill. We have the best. Except we haven't taken them outside. I met a company ya Botswana ba ba renyano ba ko DRC. Ba simolla go phuthuloga yana. because mabaka a re tlama yano. So we need to learn to create companies that can compete globally. We must have a Botswana homegrown multinational corporation or a whole constellation of them. The Botswana Vaccine Institute. South Africa is buying from us in huge volumes. Because they tried it on their own, they realized they don't have the expertise and the skills and the technology. We hold the technology. Now they have had to come to us. We need to scale up. Not just Monuhel. We need to go to other places and set up there and manufacture and service other markets. Global companies, and the other thing, which is a mistake we've made as a country, we've given prospecting licenses to individuals. Our people took the licenses 3 years renew. What does that mean? If there's a mineral deposit underground, 3 years nothing is happening, jobs are not being created. Because this person who has the license is speculating. So we need to revisit this very issue and ask whether this is the best way of handling our mineral wealth. This country is rich, make no mistake. In terms of minerals, diamonds and everything else, huge. But we are, why? Because we've not become creative in thinking about the wealth that we have. It doesn't serve us, we are not even trading. You can actually create financial instruments and monetize these minerals before you even market them. So what do some of these companies do? They come here, they do a little prospecting, they go out into the capital markets and say, and people give them money. And they don't do anything. They've made the money. Rona bembadi lo tserense ha re ipotere ra nnetse go lla re le hatsele chonnes patche se makhwa. Ke rona re se ira makhwa ka go thoka dikakanyo tse di ka re tsweletsa. Re thokana le gore re boele. Jana ha re santse re baakanya dilotse. Ga go re gore madua sa go rogile. Mme ha re ka se ka ra simolla go dira jalo gompieno. Le mo dingwageng tse 10 le tse 20 tse di tla maduo ga ana go tla. So dikgato dingwe di tshwanetse di tsewe gompieno. Tse di tla dirang gore seemo se tokagale e seng tsatsi leno e seng ka moso gongwe e seng ngwagao mme mo go tse pedi tse tharo tse di tla dilo di bo di simolla go itshetlela mo e tla reng ha go tsena ba bangwe le bone ba itlhele jaanong diemo di ntse jang. Ke sone se re tshwanetse re se dira. Sport, tourism, kana no a ke re le bua le sportsman. Go botlhokwa gore re lemoge mosola wa sport. Re tlhaloganye gore go kgona go thusa to mold our young people, teach them how to play together, to work together, and a lot of things are going to change. The intervention in the education space that we are bringing soon, once the digital platforms are up and running, they say it will free up last school 4 hours. Correct. You don't need the hour. You will be able to release 4 hours. Meaning the contact time for learning is reduced by 4 hours every day. Learning is enhanced astronomically. The learning outcomes are much, much better, spectacularly better for less time. What does that time avail itself for? For sport. So bana ka tshameka kana kwa school. Go toka go gona after school. No, it's school, part of the school curriculum. Sport, play soccer, an hour or two, go back to class and read a few things and you go home. You don't need to be there the whole day, struggling. But digitalization, the pivot, is right there. So this is what we are trying to do. And dilotse, Khadika Ketsanna, Hosena, the backbone infrastructure. Khadika Ketsa Diraga. Didn't Madua Tswana Katlisa, Ibila Sabakela, Hadika Diraga, Meguri di Diragal. When I lead Dingwe said this monate, who said this a cate, said it once a ready dire. Hardy direlate on a third con. Yagotoma Mrs. Ayano, Molomota Binal Nosi, Molongo Alente. And e-gaming as well. E-gaming, content, creation, monetization. You can't do these things Ilori, Bafara all the time. You can't. So you need high-speed internet. So that's only the kweto tseli di emo tse ba ga rona tse ke dumelang gore re tshwanetse re di tlhaloganye. Mme re tlo go di kgona ke a le tlhomamisetsa ke re tlo go di kgona gape le one melao ya rona le ditsamaiso go tlo gore di hetoge. Ska ra ganela mo segologolong se sa re berekela. E ra o ntse o le no se bua akanya gore mme gone mo ke ntseng ke go dira le ha go tlise maduonyana gore a nne a botoka go gaisa ke ha ke ba kantseng Motswana gongwe le gongwe kwa lente o se wa akanya tenderpreneurship ye o re batla go entsha mo lenaneong gotlele re batla producers re batla manufacturers re batla people who add value locally and create jobs for themselves and for others. We want to empower communities. So gompieno mo meletsi yo mongwe na wa go thuli block na nthare o khona go tshwara diphuthego ya no a le go thuli block le batho ba le go Europe a dirisa maranyane a Starlink ara ha dira jalo ba mora ba a o mo Europe ra nya ke go Botswana nya internet ya go mi siame thata mi ke gone wa bona re lo tse dintsi di re busetsa ko mora so ha re ka di khona tsonetse re tla bo re khonne tse di amanang le tsone go botlhokwa ba garo. And the biggest diamonds for us are our young people. They must know that.